Welcome everyone to the BDN workshop series. Today's topic is writing for publication, principles and strategies. And joining us today is Dr. Akpala, and she is going to give us the goods on publication.
All right. Thank you very much, Chanel. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing today? Greetings. I'm pleased to be here this evening to facilitate this workshop on writing for publications, principles, and strategies. My gratitude to the Black Doctoral Network for this opportunity to share my knowledge on this topic and to learn from you as well. My name is Comfort Okpala, Professor of Leadership Studies at North Carolina A&T State University, where I teach research, leadership theories, and some other courses to doctoral students. I supervise a number of doctoral dissertations, and I've been doing so for more than 20 years. I've published numerous articles in refereed journals, and I've served as reviewers in some journals as well. I've also served as on editorial board for 3 journals. So most of what I will share with you today is from my personal experiences and from research as well. As you all know, that high impact journals will only publish articles that show well supported research that makes contribution to knowledge base based on that journal's focused discipline. I'm sure you're all from a diverse discipline and you all ascribe to different journals, but all journals have one focus to publish the best article that will represent their journal's best interests. So at the very minimum, publishable articles need to be based on concrete scholarship, rigorous methodology that adds to knowledge. It must be well written with clear and concise message. And this is based on Pickett and McDonald 2017. So the purpose of this webinar is to get you to understand the secrets or strategies in getting your research ideas published. So this webinar is designed for undergraduate, graduate students, faculty, new faculty, senior faculty members, and all professionals with interest in getting their ideas published. I know most of you have research ideas, and for most of you that have finished your doctoral programs, you've conducted the biggest research that someone can ever do. And you need to get that published. And by the end of this webinar, workshop, you will walk away with strategies on how to get your ideas published. Okay, so I'm going to share my PowerPoint. So that's just me, a brief introduction about me.
Hey, thanks for that introduction, Comfort. That's a great first name.
Thank you so much. It's different, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, thank you. And this will be an interactive workshop. So if you have questions, raise your hand and Chanel will recognize you and you can ask questions. Okay, this is an interactive agenda overview, practical realities. Then we'll have engaged discussions. Then I will discuss the strategies, go over the strategies. We'll have another engaged discussions. Then I will discuss some observed pitfalls, recommendations, and then we'll have Q&A. So when you look at this individual on my slide, you will see someone who is highly intelligent. I won't ask you to tell me what you've observed, but someone who is a technocrat, researcher crat, all of them. She can juggle, she knows how to juggle. She has published, or he has published extensively in a tier one journal or A journals. And she's had numerous articles, numerous citations, high impact journal. And so when you hear all these uh, jargons, high impact journals, citations, and numerous articles, you'll be wondering, okay, so how do faculty, let's assume new faculty, how do they assess faculty quality, teacher quality? Because publish and or perish is still the mantra in higher ed today. And so for some disciplines, they require faculty or professionals to publish in high impact journals. Others for tenure will have some numbers of publications regardless of the journals. And for others, the requirement is for citations. So different institutions or different programs have different requirements. Okay, so I'm going to go over the practical realities that you need to understand when it comes to publications. You need to know that journals are political. So I'll go into details on all this. Journals are political. Editors are humans. They are people just like you and I. Reviewers are imperfect volunteers, okay? New concepts or new ideas threatens because sometimes you may have this new concept or new ideas that you've written about and you submit it. It may threaten some reviewers that don't know a thing about your new ideas. So it's important for you to know that. Progress is also time consuming. Feedback is always valuable, regardless. Whenever you get feedback, use it. Hope is possible, and I'll go into detail on all those. So, journals are political. I don't know how many of you read the book Reframing Academic Leadership and or the four frames of academic leadership. It used to be Bowman and Deal. Then in 2018, they came up with Reframing Academic Leadership. You still have the four frames in this book by Bowman and Gallows. So Deal was removed, it became Bowman and Gallows. And these four frames are practical in any organizations. So journals are like organizations. And so they use the political frame as well by tailoring the acceptance rate based on the needs of the journal. So journals are political. They participate using political frames. And most organizations use those four frames: political, structural, symbolic, human resources, but journals use these political frames to their max. So when you understand that, when you get rejections, don't worry too much about it. Either use the feedback to revise and submit in another journal. Always understand that journals are political. Okay, editors are people. They are humans like you and I, and they are well-intended people with the goal of making their journals better or in line with their low acceptance rate, because they will all boast, oh, we have low acceptance rate. There are so many journals out there. There are some that still operate in prints. There are some that are online. There are so many of them today that one can always find a home for their articles. And also, editors want to maintain their level of index. And now, today, you're hearing of high index journal, high index journal. That's top tiered journal. All journals will want to be top tiered. They will all want to be regarded as top tiered. So their acceptance rate tend to be low. Okay, so that means if it's low, they can accept all all articles, because if they do, that means their acceptance rate will be high and they will not become that top tier journals anymore. So that's something that you have to understand when writing. Okay, you also need to know that reviewers are imperfect volunteers. They don't get paid for reviewing articles. They're just volunteering their services. So, and they are subject matter experts who are either full-time teachers like you and I, some of you, because I'm reviewing for so many journals. And sometimes due to some challenges in the writing or different areas, you may tend to reject or make comments that may not be perfect. So, and the complexities of reviewing articles from multiple disciplines may be challenging. Okay, and sometimes, like if you're submitting to journals that use APA style, most journals are now using seventh edition, and some reviewers may not understand the seventh edition. I recently submitted an article to a journal, and they wrote me back that the use of I, using I or the researcher should not be used. That's contrary to the seventh edition of APA. So, but if you know what you're doing, you can challenge it. So I wrote them, I said, this reviewer need to become more familiar with the seventh edition of APA. And they apologized. So reviewers are imperfect volunteers, and you need to know that. New concepts or new ideas threaten. So some reviewers may find their research streams threatened by new ideas or concepts. Or reviewers and editors may be highly critical of new concepts that conflict with their assumptions. If someone is skilled in post-positive research, that means quantitative, and they are reviewing qualitative research, they may question the sample size or participants, using low participants in qualitative. But that's the recommended size for qualitative research. So they may reject the article. Okay, so new ideas threaten, or if they don't understand the style or the approach, it may threaten them and they will reject. But if you do know that and you know exactly what you're doing, you can say, okay, no problem, I can submit it to another journal, and you can do that. Progress is time consuming. When it comes to publications, it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And there is research that says that for tier one journals, publications may last from 2 to 3 years. And the question is, who have time to wait for between 2 to 3 years to get one article published? Because in the process of publishing, you have to plan your article, you have to read, review, and reread. You have to submit it, and sometimes they will send it back with revisions, and then you revise it, resubmit, and they will send it back again with additional revisions. Then you revise it, resubmit, and then it will be approved. So it takes time. And sometimes it can last up to a year, 6 months. And someone will say for new faculty that need reappointment, you need to get some publications on the table. And for some discipline, they will take acceptance letters. So you don't need to have the real documents. Acceptance letters are sufficient. So once you have that acceptance letter, it's okay to use it. But for other disciplines, they want the actual publications. And so if that's the case, then your goal then will be to get something published. So you may want to look at B journals or C journals so that one can have publications to meet the requirements. Reviewers' feedback is always welcomed and valuable because those feedbacks will help you, will provide you with valuable insights and clarifications, and you can use it to improve the quality of your paper that you can resubmit to them or submit it to another journal. So rather than arguing, you may just accept it, use their feedback. Okay, hope is always possible. There is always hope for a new home for your research if it's rejected by your preferred journals. I know sometimes you have a preferred journal, like I do too. I prefer Journal of Negro Education. Okay, I love it. But there are also other journals. And so don't feel bad if you have a rejection. There's always home. If you Google, you will see tons of journals, some online, some still have print, so that different journals may provide valuable response to your research. Okay, so those are some insights that I would like to share with you. And then let's engage in discussions. I would like to hear from you on your experiences with publications based on these realities. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. So moderator, how do we get 26 people? So if you want to share your experience, you may want to raise your hand and the moderator will recognize you so you can share your experience with publication. Okay, Nicole Buck. So Nicole Buck can unmute and share your experience.
Well, I don't have any experience to share. I just wanted to know, how do you decide which publication to choose? Because you were talking about you may have your heart set on one, but be hopeful because
Yeah, exactly.
if that one doesn't work out, you could go on to the next. So how do you go through that process of choosing which one to begin with?
Okay. And what's your discipline? What's your area?
My area is going to be educational leadership.
Okay, educational leadership. There are so many journals for educational leadership research. Actually, the Journal of Negro Education also publishes on educational leadership if it's geared towards Black issues, Black institutions, so, and urban education. There are so many journals. Journal of Educational Research. There are so many journals. So when you line all those journals up, maybe read some of them and see where your article will fit. So if you focus on that one journal, submit to that journal and wait. But also read their guidelines to know how long it takes. Because some of them will tell you it will take 6 to 12 months before a review can be done. So if you have that time to wait, then you choose that. If you don't, then look at other journals in the field. And if you Google journals that publish educational leadership issues, there are tons of them. Tons.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, comments, if you want to share your publication experience?
Yeah, this is Lawrence Bryan. How's everybody doing?
Fine.
Awesome.
So I just need to ask you a question that came up in a meeting that I had for us that are doing work, anti-racism work. And the issue came up that, in some journals, it might not be wise to select a topic that particularly refers to race, because a lot of journals just will not accept that. What is your experience in terms of what's the best way to frame work that you were doing or anti-racism work that you were doing? Or, just come right out and say what it is, and where it's accepted, it will be accepted. Where it's not accepted, then just keep it moving.
Topic is very important. Having a good, clear, concise topic is appealing to journals. And yes, there are some that will not accept topics. But there are some, dedicated to those issues. Like Journal of Negro Education, I kept bringing it up. It's one of those that will accept articles similar to that, but there are others that will not. And so it's important to really read their guidelines, because all the journals have websites. They do have websites. And review some of the topics that they've published. It's important to look at the website, look at the author's guidelines, and sometimes they will provide templates. And you can review some of the articles that they've published, see the acceptance rate, and then go with it and wait. If it's rejected based on that, they will always give you feedback. The topic is not what we're looking for, then you can revise and send it somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
You are.
Okay, next we have Dr. Jacqueline Charles has a question.
Good afternoon. Just a very quick question. Are we restricted in any way to, continue to present our research while we're waiting that long timeline to actually publish?
For some journals will ask you not to, because I think it's important to first present, then submit for publication. Or you can submit, but take a portion. Present a portion of it, not the whole article. Okay. Yeah, there are some restrictions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then next we have Dr. Roberts.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am submitting my dissertation I haven't decided which one I should submit it to, but my question is, which you just answered, I can break up my dissertation and submit it to different publishers at the same time. Am I correct?
Yeah, okay. So you can, because dissertation is huge, it's huge research. And I encourage students to get at least 3 publications from their dissertations. And if you have multiple questions, it should be different questions, should be different articles or findings, depending on the type of research that you've conducted. And so you can submit those different articles because they are different to different journals.
Okay.
If they are the same, the topic will be different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you have to make sure the topics are different. There are different issues.
But you would use the same study materials, correct?
The same study materials, but you're answering different questions.
Okay.
And yes, you're answering different questions.
Okay, so my purpose and my topic needs to change for each
That's
article.
okay. Yes.
Okay, but I could use the same data that I collected.
You can use the same data,
But
but
just do it in a different way.
Geared towards the questions.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing is, okay, once I have submitted my dissertation, say I've submitted 3 articles, I haven't, but I'm asking you once I have, when do I start publishing articles myself for different journals without having to do a lot of research? I mean, without having to do a study. Is that the way you do it? Do you have to do the study and then write articles?
Yeah, you do studies first and then write articles based on your study.
Although I'm out of school, I have to find a research place to assist me because you have to sign that
IRB.
IRB.
IRB. Okay. So you're out of school. So what type of study are you trying to do?
In educational, I'm working in education and higher education leadership, and I did have a focus on a culture, race for my first part, but now I want to publish more articles having to do with diversity, inclusion, and equity. And also I want to work on just education in general, picking a topic like curriculum development, e-learning, and so forth. So I'm asking you, I have to do research to do them type of articles, or can I just write something? I mean,
it depends. There are 2 types of studies, research. You have applied. Okay, applied, that means you are going to interview people or send surveys, right?
Yes.
It's a conceptual paper on e-learning, conceptual paper. Then you don't need IRB.
Okay.
You just write about the concept of e-learning. You don't need IRB for that.
Okay.
But if you're going to interview students or children in public school or high, you need IRB.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So any type of conceptual article I want to do, I don't need an IRB.
You don't need IRB.
To do something about people, then I need IRB.
Yes.
And where do I find the agencies or the schools or research places to assist me with that? How do I get that? I have to get the sign off from the institute.
Okay, yeah, if let's assume you're writing, where are you? Maryland or?
No, I'm in New York.
Okay, you're in New York. So if you're writing about a school in New York, you have to go to that school.
Okay.
And they have an IRB office.
Okay. All right.
All schools do have IRB. They'll tell
Okay.
you the form. They'll give you a form you complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
get permission. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. And now we will cue Dr. Savage.
Hi, thank you.
Hello.
Sorry about that. I thought I was unmuted. You cited Harvey and Broyles from 2010. I'm just wondering if you can give the title of that article or book.
Okay. I'll send it along. Okay. Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was short and sweet. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Savage.
Yes.
Dr. Parker.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm kind of in a similar situation to Dr. Roberts. So I'm out of school and I have my dissertation, finished and everything. But let's say, for example, I now want to expand upon, I want to reference a new, an additional publication. Long story short, when I was in school, I had access to all these different journals and was through my tuition and everything. And now I'm out of school. How do I even research anything when I don't have, I feel like I don't have access, or it's an open forum somewhere or?
You know, for some universities, alumni do have access to online libraries, you know.
Yeah, I think I checked. I don't know that mine does, but is there any other resource or?
And there are a number of resources like, I think there's something called the academia. If you belong to them, then you have access to resources, but there is a fee to it. There is a fee to
Okay.
it. You have access to resources. And for dissertations, once you have that big research done, you need to get it published, because with that you obtained your IRB before you collected data. And so you need to get it published. You may need to, if it's long ago, then you may need to update the literature, okay, so that it will be current. You have current literature.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions before we move to the breakout section?
Oh, well, we may continue. I'll continue sharing. All right, so I'm going to share the 11 strategies for publications, and I believe we touched on some of them here. Attention to audience. So who are your audience? Because when you're writing to a certain audience, okay? So pay attention to your audience. For dissertations, you're also writing for an audience. And so when you break those down, always have in mind that you're writing to an audience. And journals, you have to pay attention to the journals. Which journal are you gearing your publication to? And I think we touched on this on our discussions. Review authors' guidelines, very important, because all journals do have websites, and some journals do leave a template. They'll give you sample article. So follow the template. And it's always good to focus your topic. I think someone asked question on topic. Know what the journal can accept. And then you focus your topic towards that journal. Avoid overstatement. And research is about evidence. And there are some people that will make statements without support. So avoid overstatement. Always make sure that your statements are supported with citations. And balance the discussions, because sometimes during discussion section, you need to balance it. Some researchers only focus on their topic. They discuss their topic, their findings. How about researchers that didn't go or didn't align with your findings? So you have to balance it out. Have some researchers that are maybe in their research they found similar findings, others did not, but you have to discuss those. You have to balance the discussions. Acknowledge limitations. All research, I don't care how good that person is or how well it is conducted, all research have limitations. Either limitations bounded by the participants or bounded by the approach, they all have limitations. When I review research that say, oh, there are no limitations, that one is a no-no. We say, well, all research have limitations, okay? So provide recommendations. At the end, provide recommendations for further studies, because actually the purpose of doing research is not just to add to our knowledge or to literature, but to also provide information for other researchers to continue researching in that topic. So if you didn't provide information for others to follow your pattern and maybe do something else in the field, then you haven't done a lot. You have to provide recommendations for future researchers to follow the pattern. Provide strong conclusion. And sometimes strong conclusion you can interject depending on the study. If it's qualitative, you can use your reflection. Okay, what is your experience from this study? Have you added to our knowledge? And sometimes you can say, I hope I've made some contributions to knowledge after you've concluded. And again, when you send it out, you just hope for the best. And it's now in the hands of the editors. The chief editor will review it. And then if it fits the journals, they'll pass it down to reviewers, and reviewers will review it. And in any case, you will get feedback. You will get feedback regardless. If it's accepted with revisions, you will get feedback. If it's rejected, you will also get feedback. And it's important to listen to those imperfect reviewers sometimes, people like you and I. And actually, a lot of journals are looking for reviewers. So it may be wise for you to volunteer as well, and go to their website and fill in some paperwork. They always have a section for reviewers. Volunteer to review, because that will also help you to see things that you haven't seen before. And so those are the strategies. And I'm going to stop for us to have some discussions on this. Questions?
I actually have a question. In the past, most of the citations in terms of dates were less than 10 years. Is that still the case now? Less than 10 years? Or
Yes,
is it,
10
has
years,
it changed?
less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. And you can use older citations to justify something, okay? But most of your literature will be less than 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Paula, I have a question, and it's actually along the lines of a few other questions that have been asked of you in reference to publishing your dissertation.
Yes.
When you are using your dissertation to break into pieces and get several different publications, is it customary to include your dissertation committee as co-authors when you submit those manuscripts?
Okay, that's a good question, very good question, because I've worked with a number of students, over 50 on their committees. I've chaired over 50, and for some, there are some that at the end I'll tell them, okay, this is a good research. We need to get it published. Do you want to do it with your committee members, or do you want to do it just by yourself? And sometimes the response will be, okay, since I'm getting a couple of articles, I may want to do one with my committee members, or I may want to do one with just you, my chair. And so that's the way it works. So we'll prepare one, either with the committee members or with the student and I, and we'll get it published, and the other ones will be for her.
Can I ask a follow-up with that question?
Yes.
And I want to be very, very specific because you seem like a very giving chair. When I ask, is it customary? Is it rude? Is it rude for a student to move forward with publishing without including their committee? Is it a faux pas? Is it something you shouldn't do?
It is. It is. But sometimes I do understand their stance. And I've had students that I've chaired. I think I have one of our students here, Dr. Chamberlain, who is here. But I've had students, it didn't hurt my feelings at all, because she did a great study, and I encouraged my students to present before even they graduate. And she presented it at AERA. And then the chair, our job is to coach. We are the coach. So we'll coach students to prepare the way, because AERA is tough. That's the American Educational Research Association. It's tough to get papers accepted. So I helped her to prepare it just by herself, let her present. And she presented it. So the same paper, when it was time to publish, it was just by herself, which was okay. I said, that's fine, because she wants a position in higher ed. And that helped her to get a position in higher ed, which we're very proud of. And so I said, how about the other papers? You may want to do one with the committee. And at this time, she said, that's a big research for me, and I'm in higher ed, and I need that for reappointment. And that's fine. If you need it for reappointment, because it's hard to start conducting research. Being a new faculty in an HBCU, you have 4 classes to teach, so it will be hard to start a fresh study. So she was able to write 3 articles from those dissertation without any committee members. And some committee members were mad and said, oh, she did it all by herself and we helped. I said, sometimes you'll have students that will do that. But yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I believe Ms. Davis, Amber Davis, has a question.
Yes, I had a bit of a follow-up because with your committee, like if you're quote unquote going to cite them, isn't it that they should have a hand in the manuscript? Because I feel like they treat me the same way as with the dissertation. Like you do everything, but like a manuscript is more like collaborative, in my opinion. So I'm feeling swayed to just do it myself, and then it's going to be like this, byproduct of my own manuscript for my dissertation, because they're not giving me the vibes of I want to, be in it with you with the manuscript production, which is traditionally how it's supposed to go, in terms of authorship, who contributes thoroughly. So I guess I've been like in this weird, like what do I do? Because it's like the expectation of you do all the work, and then I also get, on your manuscript, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, it does. It makes sense. And research, when it comes to dissertations, we are like coach. We are nurturing, but the student is the one doing the work. Okay, so it can go both ways. The student is the one that did the work, collected data, analyzed data, wrote it up. We just reviewers and coach. So at the end of the day, if the student said, oh, I would like to publish by myself, I would say, fine, go on. Because we do have other students to work with. And we also have to have the time to conduct our own studies, not depend on students, on doctoral students.
So I guess my question is, how hands-on are you with the student if they're saying, hey, I want to make this manuscript happen, and they're
and if it's something that we are doing collaboratively, oh yeah, I'll be heavily involved.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes, writing a dissertation is different from publishing.
Right.
You have to follow the guidelines, so it takes time. So I'm heavily involved in that.
Okay.
Helping the students, at least for that first paper. Then the next time around, they can go solo and know how to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Skylar?
Hello, Dr. Akpala. I had a question about predatory journals. I know you've been publishing for a while. What are some telltale signs of journals that are essentially made to make money and they're not really reputable journals? Like, what are some telltale signs of those?
Yes, and there are so many of them now, international journals. And once you have journals that will tell you, oh, we review it in a week and we publish it every week, and they will charge you arm and leg, then you need to run from those, because they will charge you a whole lot of money. But there are some faculty that will go for it because they need to be reappointed or tenured. And so if you are in a school that requires numbers, and I've had faculty say, well, I need the number. Because if they want 4 publications for tenure, and I can't wait 2 years or a year or 6 months to get those, what's more important? And sometimes they will spend those money to get published.
Dr. Akpala, should you ever pay for publication? When submitting your manuscript, do you have to pay a fee for that?
I don't believe in paying, because there are so many journals that will not charge you. But there are also some top journals that are charging now. They are charging to review. Like some journals in business, administration, in economics, they are charging, but not top dollars like those other journals.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions? Okay, let me.
Okay, Dr. Charles, you're back up.
Thank you. I just had one question about what you just stated. I'll just share that, I've always been told to be a little bit leery of publications or journals that are actually going to charge you to publish in their journals. I was told to view it as we're doing them a favor by choosing their journal to actually publish in. I'd be interested in any of thoughts about that. Journals that charge you versus ones that do not.
Yeah, I prefer the ones that don't charge, because for some, I've seen faculty pay $500, $600 to $1,000 to get published. And I said, that's too much. That's too much money. And you have so many other journals that don't charge, but you only have to write articles to feed their journals. Okay, and those that charge, they are not of high quality. The ones that I've seen, they are not
Yeah.
quality journals.
Yes, I'm very glad that you stated that, because that was another, I'll say, tip that was given to me, is that we need to be, I guess, maybe cognizant of the process that you have to go through to get published. I was told if it's not as rigorous as it should be, we should be leery, because it's not look favorably on us if we choose certain journals that do not have a rigorous review process.
Yes, that's true. That is true. You just said it.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for clarifying, Dr. Charles. I was tagging on to what Skylar was saying about predatory journals, and so I didn't clarify that, but thank you for clarifying. That
Yeah.
was most of the question. If a
Oh.
journal is asking you for payment, that's
Payment.
probably a sign that they're a predatory journal.
Thank you.
Skylar, you're back up.
Okay, yeah, I had another question about this has to do with publication too. It's about open source. I know there's been some debate. I have a mentor now. He's against like publishing a journal open source, and I'm not really sure. I guess what's your stance on open source journals that are kind of available, more broadly available, but you have to pay, I believe, to have that broader availability of your journal.
Dr. Paula, you're muted. We can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, open sources. Yeah, there are a number of them. You also have AERA open, Sage open, and those are different from the ones that charge. It means they're readily available for people to read. And so if they are rigorous, then they are good. I think I am submitted to one AERA open journal. So those are better than the ones that charge. That's my view, because you have AERA open and you have Sage open, and so many of them are becoming open.
Thank you.
All right, any other question? Okay, let me share something. I think one pitfall. Okay, these are some of the observed pitfalls, something I've observed over the years. And I think we touched on all these outdated topics, issues, misaligned topics, purpose, and research questions. Because sometimes we can have great topics, but our purpose and research questions are not aligned well. And we touched on citations, failure to synthesize. When we're citing, we're just citing, we're not synthesizing those citations, rushing to publish. Sometimes we are missing a lot of things. Okay, some recommendations will be effective planning, plan your publications. Invest in research publications. That means invest in looking at journals. Where do you want to submit? It takes time, resources. They are readily available online. And then listen to reviewers or attention to authors' guidelines, very important. All journals do have websites. Okay, reputable journals do have good websites. And always listen to reviewers, make necessary changes, use online tools. There are so many online tools like Grammarly, Turnitin, and there are others that can arrange your citations. So there are so many tools out there. Always remember that options exist. You don't have to be tied to one journal. There are so many of them. Urban Review, Urban Education, Journal of Negro Education, Journal of Research Initiatives. There are tons and tons of journals. Okay, so now I think we can, I think there is something missing here. Okay, I have this. What is wrong? I have this practice. Here is the topic. So tell me what is wrong with this. Exploring the lived, that's the topic. Exploring the lived experiences of African American women leaders at community colleges. That's the topic. Then the purpose. The purpose of this qualitative research is to examine the experiences of Black women leaders at community colleges in North Carolina. And so here are the research questions, 2 research questions. What is the effect of cultural factors on the leadership experiences of Black women leaders in North Carolina? What's the impact of social factors on the leadership experiences of Black women leaders in North Carolina? So what is wrong with this? Or is it a perfect study or perfect topic, purpose, research questions? Anyone?
Well, doesn't the research question, it identifies 2 separate women groups? I see it as Black women leaders just only in North Carolina as a large body group. And then the second one is Black women leaders in North Carolina at community colleges. So I see 2 separate women groups there.
Group. Okay, that's one. Yes, exactly. Okay, that's one. Okay,
Also,
anyone else?
in the title, they don't include cultural factors or social factors. They don't
Okay.
integrate that into the title.
Okay, good. Okay, anything else?
The title doesn't mention North Carolina.
Okay.
That's thrown in there later.
Okay, exactly. Those are things that are wrong. Anything else?
In the purpose as well, they don't mention the social cultural factors.
Okay, exactly. So you see, these are some of the things that matter. And then someone may read it and say, exploring the lived experiences of African American. Then you turn it to Blacks. I know you can use Blacks and African American, but it's good to be consistent. Or if you're saying, okay, I'm going to use them interchangeably. And then if you read deeper, you see that the purpose, the topic is exploring. That means you're exploring. And so exploring and examining are not the same. Okay, so someone may read it and say, if you're exploring, then the purpose should be to explore. Okay? And then you've already mentioned the cultural factors and the social factors were not mentioned. And what is the effect? So someone reading it, a reviewer will say, effect. Effect is kind of quantitative. What is the effect? But exploring the lived experiences is qualitative topic. You can read that and say, oh yeah, that is qualitative. That can be phenomenology or narrative. But what is the effect is one question. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and then we can have questions and then any other questions, comments. So one need to be careful, read and reread and make sure the topic is aligned with the purpose and then aligned with the research questions.
Okay, Skylar, you're up next.
So I didn't, well, I have a comment. I know people were asking before about, are there ways to kind of figure out where your journal may belong? I know that some of these companies like Springer and Sage, they have actually have search engines that you can look into where you can actually put your journal's title into the search engine, and then it generates possible journals that it may be compatible with.
Yes, that is true.
So that could be a tool.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for bringing it up. There are so many tools that can be helpful that one can use, and it makes it easy. It makes it really easy. EndNotes is another tool. EndNotes, if you know how to use it, it organizes your citations. So there are tools out there. Questions, comments?
Skylar, would you mind putting that in the chat, please, for anyone who missed the two? I think you said Sage and Springer, but would you mind putting that in the comments, please?
Sure. Yeah. I'm actually trying to find it right now. Trying to find that website. But yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Akpala while we're here? This has been a great discussion. Great discussion. We've also dropped the link for the evaluation. Please don't forget to evaluate this wonderful workshop. Dr. Akpala has given some great information. We would love to give her some feedback. Dr. Akpala, I have a question, and this is what's asked from the audience. Would you mind sharing your PowerPoint with us?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Send it to DeAndre.
Good. And then we'll make sure that, so for those of you who asked in the privately in the DM, we'll make sure that everyone who registered for the conference, the workshop, will get a copy of the PowerPoint slides.
I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. And if you have further questions, you can email me as cookpala@ncat.edu. Or if you go to North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, their website, you will see me. Actually, you will see my picture on their website because I won the Board of Governors Teacher of the Year for this year. So they have me on their website. So you can always email me if you have questions on getting your articles published. I'll be willing to help you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akpala, for coming here and gracing us with your presence and providing all this great information. If there are no further questions, then I think we can bid everyone adieu.